Warning, the following presentation contains cold, hard truths that might change the way you think. Viewer discretion won't do you any good now.
Solo. Not to be confused with Solo, Solo, or Salo. Yeah, I went there. When the title of this film was announced, some people were a little disappointed, because we all know what a much better title would have been. Now, since my last Jedi video was so well received, I thought why not continue my quest to annoy Star Wars fans by offering a critique that no one wanted to a film that no one wanted. But this video will be a little different, because Solo is a different beast altogether. While critics and audiences had vastly different opinions of The Last Jedi, Solo saw them in exact agreement with each other. Everyone thought it was just okay. For me, Solo was the epitome of an up and down film that occasionally dipped into the realm of really good, but overall just skated right along the line of good, while rarely slipping into the realm of, okay, just what the fuck? Why? Just why? Although there are some things in this film that I really did not need, like every single reference, Solo is also packed with so much quality that it really does end up being a triumph against all odds. Now who does that sound like? Huh? Anyone? This film is part Treasure Island, part Paths of Glory, part Runaway Train, part Unforgiven, part The Outsiders, part 2001, part The Getaway, part American Graffiti, part Godfather 2, part Gangster Number 1, part To Have and To Have Not, part Out of the Past, part Westworld, part High Noon, and part Star Wars. Overall, I am legitimately impressed with the writing in this film. Not only did they cram in all of the expected origin story beats of how Han meets Lando and Chewie and how he gets the Falcon and all that bullshit, but then the film goes even further by actually giving us surprisingly dimensional new characters like Qi'ra, Beckett, and Enfys Nest, who all kept you guessing until the very end. I certainly didn't expect the movie to give us such insane new set pieces that really are some of the craziest, biggest, most extravagant shit we've ever seen in Star Wars films. Fresh new looking settings, of course, and even some newly explored themes like Lando fucking robots, which so makes sense.
You look absolutely beautiful.
In fact, this film dives into many concepts that we only saw glimpses of in previous Star Wars films, but we kind of figured they were a part of the bigger machine. Droid fucking, child slavery, grassroots tribal uprisings, crime syndicates and heist operations, the Empire's training and recruitment, droids being sentient and wanting equal rights, and fucking. And everyone's favorite, the concept of the hidden Sith apprentice. These things were actually pretty well integrated into the B and C stories of the script. And because of that, the film ends up doing a surprisingly good amount to further flesh out the cinematic Star Wars universe and make it feel even more lived in. But nobody was even expecting any of that. All we wanted was for them to get Han Solo right. And as for Han, come on, look at that smile. You know you love that smile. Just come on. Alden Ehrenreich's Han Solo is a great take on the character, because it's not an outright impression of Harrison Ford, yet he also totally feels like Han Solo, especially when he makes this face. The fact that he was able to pull off acting like Han, but not totally aping Harrison Ford, is just top shelf acting at its best. But the amount of energy and heart that he brings to every single scene is the sole factor that gives this film such a fun and hopeful vibe all throughout. Not to mention, this poor fucking guy had to endure a total shitstorm of idiotic fake news articles that concocted a fable about him needing an acting coach during production. That came from an anonymous actor who was featured prominently in the film, which really just translates to unemployed loser who makes shit up on the internet. When in reality, that acting coach turned out to be a producer that came onto the production to coach everybody. Another way they really respected the character when writing this film is by not making Han an arrogant douchebag like we all probably thought he was going to be. Although he's a lot more optimistic and friendly in this film than how he is later in life, he needed to be different so that his heart could be crushed and he could evolve or devolve into the hardened dick that we all know and love. Characters need an arc, and thankfully this film did give him one. Too bad it ended as soon as it was getting good. But the Han and Qi'ra storyline line is just the perfect mirror to the dynamic between Han and Leia. In The Empire Strikes Back, Han tries to convince Leia that he's not such a bad guy.
I happen to like nice men.
I'm nice, man.
No, you're not.
In Solo, he's trying to convince Qi'ra that he is a bad guy.
I am not the good guy. I am definitely not the good guy.
And from all this, they actually managed to carve out a more dimensional romantic persona for the character, and one that actually makes sense.
Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.
This movie, like The Last Jedi, spent some time cleaning up a few unexplained things that were in previous films. Han being the best Falcon pilot in the galaxy, now we know it's because his father built Millennium Falcons for a living. Han's blaster being ridiculously powerful, now we know it's because it's actually a bigger gun that was modified. Han always standing around and shooting, Qi'ra actually addresses it.
What are you standing around for? Come on!
By the end of this video, hopefully you'll understand why I strongly believe that Solo deserves a sequel. But to do that, we must explore how this film is so up and down. The very opening is just phenomenal. Everything from the blue text, to the immediately high-stakes opening shots, to the seriously amazing theme song. If you don't get pumped for this opening title, you might not even be awake. You've already fallen asleep. But then this first scene with Han and Qi'ra just bothers me. There's just too much making out. I think they make out 2 separate times in the same scene. Also, if they didn't make out in this scene, this other make-out moment that happens later on would have had a lot more meaning, and this other one would have felt less annoying as well. Now, the alternate opening was actually a lot better, and is one of the deleted scenes that's included on the Blu-ray. Somehow the lack of kissing and the fact that he wakes her up instead of this weird bumping, it just kind of felt like the stakes were a bit more real.
It's today. Wanna go for a ride?
I said someday, not today.
Now, Han getting his name from the Imperial officer is seriously underrated. People in the theater I saw it in were moaning and groaning before he even got the line out. But think about it this way. Han spends his entire life fighting the Imperials while also using the name they gave him, almost sticking it to them even harder. You want to call me Han Solo? I'll show you Han Solo. I think it really adds to the ballsy yet aloof nature of his character. Oh look, a reference to Trump. Now, I really love that they use the Imperial March theme in this scene, and also in this scene. Too bad neither one of these moments are actually on the soundtrack. I mean, what, did the Empire not give them the rights to use that theme? Just seeing Woody do this is worth the price of admission. But to be honest, I would have liked a tiny bit of backstory into this battle. Who are they even fighting, and why?
Just wondering what our objective is, Lieutenant.
Yeah, you said it. I think this is my favorite line in the whole film.
I'm Han. Nobody cares.
Woody. Now, I'm really glad that the subtitles in this part were not burned into the film, because I found them very unnecessary. It was something really stupid, like, you take big stick, make boom boom, and we get out. I mean, we get what they're trying to do.
So we get who we need? The Zan sisters, or Bosk.
I just love that they got Tandy Newton to say the name Bosk. I could just imagine her reading the screenplay for the first time. She's probably like, what the fuck is a Bosk? Then there are some references that I really could have done without.
I don't know, you've never been to a Minoc roast on Ardinia. It's nuts!
Ugh. Whether you know what a Minoc is or not, that line isn't funny. You know what's a lot better than referencing something? Actually putting it in the film. I'd much rather see a Minoc or Bosk than just hearing about them. Now, people bitched at this scene when the trailer came out. Duh, we already know Chewbacca lives. What's the point of this? It's not about whether they live or die. It's about seeing how they became friends.
Little close there, buddy!
Han saves his life, and it's an adorable moment.
Thinking about opening a cantina somewhere warm, but not too warm, you know?
Will somebody put a muzzle on that thing? His references have nothing to do with the scene. They're just shoehorned in. Now, the theme song for Enfys Nest is amazing. It sounds like a bunch of little Enfys Nests are singing. And watching her fight Beckett, is just undeniably cool. I think we can all agree we need more stuff like this. You know, although I was kind of annoyed by his references, I was really sad when Rio died. And he ends up telling Han something that will motivate him to keep fighting for Qi'ra.
It's no good to die alone, kid.
He wasn't all just useless references after all. Alright, he only made 2. I should really cut him some slack. Now, how can you not love Dryden's ship, yacht, whatever you call it? Although, once again, why isn't this little green guy on the soundtrack? They actually replaced his voice with someone else. What, did they have trouble getting the rights to this little green thing? I mean, what is up with this soundtrack? The moment where Han finally finds Qi'ra is so bittersweet. On one hand, it's great because he's so happy to see her. On the other hand, it's great because it's heartbreaking as shit. Because why the fudge is she working on Dryden's yacht? Seeing her here immediately tells us that she has this hidden, dark, mysterious backstory. And now she's by far the most interesting character in the story. Because now the very thing that Han was fighting for is looking more and more like it could be his downfall after all. And that shot right there of them walking together, you just know that this is about to get interesting. This is quality right here. However, Paul Bettany, we fucking love you, but I think they really screwed over Dryden in this story. He wasn't given nearly as much mystery as Beckett and Qi'ra, and I think it would have been a little more interesting if Han and the audience thought that Dryden was a good guy at first. Maybe him and Han really hit it off, but then Beckett and Qi'ra start warning Han that he's evil, and eventually all 3 of them turn on Han. Instead, we get this kind of one-dimensional villain that's just always bad. But then again, it's also very reminiscent of an old school crime flick where there's a bad guy that's just plain bad. Also, the fact that Dryden was originally a half lion, half human, played by The Wire's Michael K. Williams, just makes this seem pretty fucking lame. Why couldn't they just put Paul Bettany in the lion costume? Give us a compromise here. I always thought his little blow up here seemed kind of random.
Test me! Test me one more time, you see what happens.
The deleted extended scene of Han eating the crab leg really should not have been cut from the film. Not just because it's hilarious, but mainly because Dryden's little blow-up makes a lot more sense when you actually see more of a lead up to it. Qi'ra, on the other hand, is getting more complex by the minute. As soon as she hears Dryden say that he'll kill them if they fail, she's reminded that she loves Han. And this is the moment where she starts getting pulled to the light, so to speak. It's kind of like when Vader and Luke started interacting and it began Vader's pull to the light. Same with Kylo and Rey. So now it's not just Han's debate, but Qi'ra's too. And we're not sure how either one of them is going to deal with the outcome, so the stakes have just been raised by a lot. But does Han have to be so goofy in this scene?
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. That's a very, very good one.
And now let's finally get to Lando.
Everything you've heard about me is true. Thanks, love.
See, that would have been a great opportunity for a joke. I heard you had an orgy with a bunch of R2 units. Everything but that. The music during the first Sabacc scene is really fucking good. On one hand, it sounds nothing like Star Wars, but on the other hand, it's filled with these subtle little motifs and references to other themes. I love that they gave L3 these wide hips. It really fits well with her sassy character. And also, if you watch the behind-the-scenes featurette on L3, they explain that she's actually made up of other parts from random droids, and those sassy hips are actually from an R2 unit. Well, that totally explains the sass. Now, I know I've bitched a lot about things that are missing from the soundtrack, but there are also great pieces of music that are on the soundtrack, but are missing from the film. The track titled Lando's Closet features this one crescendo that is just magnificent. Oh my god. Ugh. But when you actually watch the film, they cut this music off right before the best part.
Am I interrupting something?
Kinda.
Good.
I guarantee this scene was originally longer, and that really good part of the song was probably playing under an unnecessary extended makeout moment that they decided to cut, because fuck that. Speaking of that, I love Qi'ra's reaction to hearing about robot sex. Instead of being weirded out or disgusted, she's just like, oh, I think that's just so nice. That is just great. I am glad that Chewie ripped somebody's arms off in the film. I wish it happened in The Force Awakens to Kylo Ren, but hey, I'll take what I get.
Terrace Kasi.
So fucking unnecessary. That game isn't even good.
Huh, that was impressive.
Yeah, him hitting someone in the helmet and knocking them out, that is impressive. Chewie, on the other hand, this part is just like Chewie combat porn. And I fucking love it. Okay, try to tell me this isn't amazing. Lando is fighting off enemies in front of the Falcon. He sees Han coming out with the coaxium. He throws Han his blaster. Han catches it. Oh, fuck me in the ass! How could you not love this scene? The part where L3 gets shot is the single best moment in the entire film. Lando is just incredible here. He does this badass slide and just tries so hard to rescue her. I've seen this movie 5 times, and I choked up at this part every time. You ever actually get choked up? It feels like somebody just punched you in the throat. That is what this scene does to me. And when Chewie is carrying Lando, carrying what's left of L3, I mean, let's be real. Then the battle ends with Han just blasting his way back into the Falcon, finishing the scene. Come on! And just when you're feeling like this film is really picking up momentum, boom! You know, I almost forgot I was watching a Star Wars movie. Seeing Han bump the Falcon into the TIE Fighter. I think I'm starting to remember what I'm watching here. Now, because we just got the TIE Fighter music in The Last Jedi, the impact of hearing it here was slightly diminished, but that doesn't change the fact that this is an insanely fun sequence. Another great slide and a great line.
This is why you never let anyone fly your ship.
I mean, this is just so well shot. Lando really does have the best lines in the film.
Oh, that's a custom piece!
Stupid capes. And this is just one of Han's all-time greatest moments. He skids the Falcon onto the surface of the asteroid, flinging a bunch of ice crystals onto the TIE fighters. We see the pilots freeze to death, and then crash into a rock. Come the fuck on. In the scene where they upload L3 to the Falcon's main computer, you hear this little music cue that sounds like it's from the original trilogy. But it's really an alternate version of the Kessel Mine music we just heard. Yet it totally evokes the feeling that you're seeing a small link to the old films, which is the fact that L3 is the female computer in the Falcon.
So I hear you make good brandy.
Why did Woody have to say brandy? You're telling me they couldn't have come up with a Star Wars name for brandy? They call jazz music jizz? I don't know, whatever, who cares? Why did Lando just leave without taking his share? I don't really understand why he did that, other than to make this a really funny moment. Oh, I didn't realize Horizon Zero Dawn was in this movie. Now seriously though, why is that little girl drinking alcohol? Now seriously. I love that they made Enfys Nest a teenage girl. It totally explains why she was able to fight Woody with such agility. But you know, I really think the Horizon Zero Dawn crossover was a good call. Great game.
So they cut off the tongue of every last man, woman, and child.
Whoa. Is that what Qi'ra did? She cut kids' tongues off? God damn. That's some Anakin level shit. Dude, she's a bitch. But we knew that. Damn it. I totally had my money on Enfys Nest being the tongue cutter. It really took me for a ride with that twist. Now, I do love the whole bait and switch mechanism, but when you really pick apart Han's plan, it's pretty goddamn ridiculous. The plan was to actually bring the real coaxium to Dryden, but then rob him by sneaking the blaster pistol inside, but he tells Woody that he plans on giving Dryden fake coaxium just to lure Dryden's people out and have Enfys fuck them up. That way, Han could have an easier time stealing back the real coaxium from Dryden. But the amount of things that could have gone wrong, that just didn't for some reason. Like, what if Dryden just decided to smash one of the explosive coaxium vials since he thought they were fake? Well, that would have been stupid. But then again, it's the ultimate Han Solo plan because the odds were completely against him. There was such a big chance of failure, but he did it anyway. Kinda like the making of this film. And then as soon as you see Enfys and her crew start beating the crap out of people, and then you see that Rodian pop out, and then the Rogue One dude, it's like you just get neuralized, and you forget all about any possible plot holes that could have been. And then we have this great moment. Qi'ra is all that Han has been fighting for, and now she's about to kill him. But no, it was just a trick to fight and kill Dryden.
I had to.
Yeah, no, I mean, you did. You did.
So is Qi'ra good? Not quite. That was all just a trick so she could move up in the ranks. But knowing this is Qi'ra saying goodbye is really heartbreaking, because this is gonna fuck Han up.
Smile.
She basically tells him that she remembered him for his smile. I told you he has a great smile, but that smile is about to get destroyed. And she carries the burden of knowing that she will be the reason for that. Wait, is that piano in Star Wars? Oh, I fucking love it. Now, I have two major thoughts on the Darth Maul thing. The first thought is that I think this scene actually works better if you don't even know who Darth Maul is. Hear me out. A lot of people that I've spoken to who know the character but aren't giant fans of Star Wars were pretty damn confused when Maul appeared on screen. Probably because you can barely see his metal legs, so they weren't able to piece together that this was after the Phantom Menace. But if you didn't have any idea who he was, and you're not even wasting brain power on trying to piece together the Phantom Menace connection, it just kind of works on its own. That Qi'ra killed her boss to rise to the top, and the next guy up from Dryden is just this even more evil, horrifying, devil-looking guy. That's all you really need to know to feel the drama of what she's going through. As soon as she hangs up that call, she looks like she has at least a few regrets, and you really feel bad for her. And as she fully commits herself to the dark side, we actually see a final glimmer of light in her. It's so tragic. And it totally works whether you know who Darth Maul is or not. The second thought I had, and I know this will get some hate, is that I think Darth Maul should have been Snoke. Hear me out. If it was Snoke who had trained Qi'ra and pulled her to the dark side, and it was Han who swayed Qi'ra away from Snoke, that would give Snoke a good reason to hold a grudge against Han. And what better way to take revenge on Han but to sway someone else he loved to the dark side? This would give Snoke another motivation altogether to corrupt Ben Solo into Kylo Ren. He doesn't just want to destroy Luke, he also wants to get back at Han for stealing Qi'ra away from him. That would have created an interesting link between all of the new films, making Snoke this figure who has been lurking in the shadows of Han Solo's existence since before A New Hope. And it would have given the whiny fanboys their little Snoke backstory that they wanted so badly. And if you're wondering why Snoke didn't just go after Luke during the original trilogy, maybe he saw that there was a better way, to wait until Ben Solo was born and use him to take down Luke. But oh well. Darth Maul has its pros and cons too that I'm honestly not going to get into because I thought him being in the film was pretty fucking cheeseball, to be honest. And the awesome subtle Duel of the Fates motif is totally not on the soundtrack, of course. Now, a lot of people wondered how Han Solo could become such a hardened, grumpy badass after being such a goofy optimist in this film. Well, this right here is the moment where he gets hardened. When he sees Qi'ra flying away on that yacht, his heart has just been blaster shot right open because he knows he'll never understand what she's going through. We know that too. Han has lost multiple people he loved to evil Jedi and the dark side of the Force, something he never really comes to understand. But Chewie puts his arm on him, letting him know he will always be his friend. And I think Chewie is also telling him, don't be bad for this hoe, just be good. Then there's this final scene, which I have some problems with. This whole thing just feels really rushed and tacked on. They effortlessly score the Falcon, they're immediately flying it, we get a really unnecessary Jabba the Hutt reference, and then the movie ends. There's a nice little ball of references for you to suck on. Now fuck you and go home. I don't know, the film just ends in the most unsurprising way possible. If this is all the Solo we ever get, this is a pretty shit way to end his prequel saga. But if they did do a Solo 2, and this is the first episode in a series of films, this ending wouldn't seem as bad. In fact, I probably wouldn't even care about it at all. Now, although I had problems with the ending, I clearly loved the film as a whole. There was so much good shit to enjoy in it. The scene where Han and Chewbacca meet is just one of the greatest moments in the entire series. The amount of joy that washed over me when I first saw this part. I felt like a child in a movie theater without my parents. And it was amazing. The amount of genuinely joyous moments, like Han seeing hyperdrive for the first time, the Maw monster's face getting ripped off, that giant explosion that caused the mountain to cave in on itself, the fact that Woody is in the film is just something to be thankful for. This guy was meant for Star Wars. He's literally a spaced out cowboy in real life. And the fact that he gets to wear the Lando skiff outfit, play Dejarik, create the blaster pistol, pilot the Falcon guns, and get killed by Han Solo shooting first, just makes me really happy. And I'll close with this thought. Solo was not the greatest idea. We all knew that. But the film that they've created out of that shitty idea actually really deserves a sequel. They set up enough solid threads that just beg to be resolved. The Han and Qi'ra thing was just getting good. The Darth Maul connection was just starting to be introduced. We gotta spend more time with Lando. We still haven't seen Han screw over Jabba the Hutt. We have to know what happened to the little green thing. We have to see Aloy return to Zero Dawn. They designed this film so that everything that survived until the end just has the feeling of needing to be continued. And with that said...